Video number 2, concentrating on boxing skills and basic boxing techniques. And we're going to be focusing on 4 of them today. One's going to be the jab, the cross, the hook, and the uppercut. And as, there are many ways to throw these strikes. I develop in my system when I work with actual people who've trained with me that wanted to compete and fight, and I've trained actually 3 world champions, being a world kickboxing champion myself. It gets much more complicated, but for the basics, to get to the beginning, we're going to focus on what I call level 1 and level 2 punching. Level 3 is when we start getting into a little bit more advanced material, and if you wanted to join my martial arts program, you can do that as well. But level 1 and level 2 would be perfect for those of you who are looking for just learning how to punch properly to get the most out of your workouts, and it's still very effective strikes. So first of all, let's get back to the fighting stance we talked about before in class number 1, and that's where, again, feet are 1 shoulder apart, take a step forward, get your hands up, good defensive. I like to call it a defensive posture. What I always teach my students is you're not thinking, I'm a big believer in not getting hit, and for those who compete. So we want a good defensive posture that eliminates target areas. And we talked about this before, elbows in, we want to protect your body as much as our head, and also we want to keep our hands up around cheekbones. And again, for those who are looking for fitness, this is hard. You want to go through, if you're going to, most of my classes are 30 to 45 minutes in length and 25, 30 minutes of straight kickboxing. And if you can, the whole time, you're focusing on keeping your hands up, I'm telling you, you will definitely gas. So try to work on getting these hands up and get some endurance in your shoulders. Now the first punch we're going to work on is the jab. Now the jab in real fighting is considered off a lead-off technique, and it's designed to find the target. You can almost like, I guess the best like a sight in a gun, right? You don't pull the trigger until you got the target in the sight. Well, same thing in fighting. You want to find the target with the jab. So the jab is not considered a power technique. In fact, our goal is speed on the jab. And when we throw the jab, it's almost as if, there's a fly out there, and pow, I'm going to fly, I'm going to knock that fly out of the sky. And of course, that doesn't take power, that takes snapping speed, right? But let's talk about proper execution first. Making sure that your elbow stays down and that you throw it straight out, and then on contact, you turn. And if you notice when I do that, by turning my hand down, I have to slightly turn the thumb down. It gives me a little pocket where I can put my shoulder. Again, for those of you who want to really learn how to do it right and understand that in theory someone's hitting back, this is important to understand. That I'm not throwing the punch like this, where somebody just has to go over it to hit me. I'm hiding behind it. And again, for those of you who are trying to get in better shape, this is also more of a endurance on your shoulders. Also, if you notice when I throw the jab, my jab comes straight back. I don't jab and drop it. In the old saying, we call that lingering. In the fight game, guy counters you, but for you, it's just you want to get in the habit of going straight in, straight back. Again, we don't want to you'll find when you get tired, you go, you want to drop those hands. Again, good disciplined martial artists, good disciplined training is going to increase your endurance all around. So a good jab, again, elbow stays down, rotates on contact, and if you notice, my weight doesn't shift forward, my weight doesn't shift back, boom, I'm just stepping out there. Again, my goal is to find the target with the jab, so now I can do the cross. And again, there's quite a few crosses, straight cross, a looping cross, all those different. And we're just going to work on a good straight cross. So let's focus on level 1 punching. And level 1 punching is just proper execution of the arm. Level 2 is where we incorporate the movement of the body. So level 1, we want to think again, the elbow stays down. We don't want to bring the elbow up initially. And we definitely don't want to pull the hand back like most people do, but I've never been taught how to punch before. Your goal is to be able to create power in a short range. So you want to go from point A to point B, the bag or whatever, in a straight line. And when you do that, we want to make sure we keep the elbow down, and then right on contact, just on the jab, my elbow comes up and my thumb turns down. And again, if you'll notice, I have a little pocket that I can hide behind or put my chin into. And the old saying in fighting is I hide behind the punches. If you look from the camera, you'll notice you got to go through my punches to hit me, as opposed to here. So you want to think in those terms. So when I throw this punch, this right hand, my elbow stays down. And then the last 3 to 6 inches, it rotates with my thumb slightly down. Again, not this, straight out, turn. Now this is the one where, this is a power punch. Our jab's designed to set up that cross. So this, we have to make it a power punch. And again, not by creating momentum, but by utilizing the rotation of my hips. So when I throw this punch, as it comes out, I turn the hip, I turn the heel, and I turn the shoulder. So now again, where's our weight? Center forward, 70% back. So again, a good cross. Elbow stays down, bam. Weight shifts forward and back. And again, not this, but back here. Now if you notice I'm punching in the air, this is called shadow fighting. This is something you should do every time you work out to warm your body up, but also to improve your skills, right? To do in front of a mirror. But for right now, we want to work on shifting that weight, turning, bam, elbow stays down until contact, or right before contact, bam. That's the cross. And then we put them together. And when you put combinations of techniques together, it's simultaneous motion. What do I mean by that? It's not 1, 2. It's 1, and it's like you pull a punch and push it. 2, you rotate and have that punch come out, back to guard. Again, jab, if you notice I didn't shift weight at all. My weight is centered, and then I pull, and then my weight shifts on the cross, because that's a power punch. Back. Again, the jab's the speed, the cross is the power. 1, 2. 1, 2. Also making sure every time we punch or kick, exert ourselves at all, we're always. You have to do that, guys. You can't go. You'll definitely gas. And what's nice about it, we naturally breathe without thought, right? Well, if we breathe out, we're going to naturally breathe out, okay? But if we tense up every time you hit and hold our breath, you're not going to breathe out. So breathe out. You don't have to really think about it. If you think about every time you punch, your body will naturally breathe in. You'll get more oxygen. All right, so now let's go ahead and do that hook punch. And we talked about this before. We talked about the positions or balances. We throw the jab, we throw that right hand, and now our weight's again 60-40, or 70-30 forward. And like I said earlier, we pull punches, we don't push them. You want to think about pulling, pulling, pulling. And again, the weight shifts back and the heel goes down. And that front heel just comes off the ground slightly. And if you notice, my head's now in line with my right heel. See, in a good fighting stance, my head is centered between both legs. When I throw that right hand, my weight shifts in line with that left heel and sit down on the punch. And when I come back, my head comes back, boom, and shifts to the right heel. Not only good balance, but what does it happen if I was trying to learn to defend myself? My head's moving. I can train traditional martial arts. Chin up, head not moving. That's why they get crushed. You want to be able to shift that weight, and that head slightly comes to the left, and line with that left heel, and then come back, boom, and come back with that hook. Now, let's talk about the arm of a hook, a rotation of a hook. What I want you to do is make a 90-degree angle with your arms. Basically a 90-degree angle. And then I just want you to turn it down and put it right in line with your left shoulder. And go from your left shoulder to your right. So that's basically the striking surface. Now turn. Now bring the elbow down underneath it. And that same striking surface. So I'm not coming over here. The elbow comes up. And then as it comes up, I go from shoulder to shoulder. Boom. Boom. And I can go out long. And it doesn't matter. You can go here. A lot of guys like to go here. A lot of times I do it halfway. So, it doesn't matter. Boom. Boom. The short, or you can get out there and almost like slap it. But the turn is the same. So if you do that, you realize that's not very powerful. Well, where's the power? Again, it's in the hips and legs, right? So let's do it without even throwing the cross. When I throw the hook, watch, the weight shifts, not turn, but back. Back, weight shifts, and I turn the hip, and I turn the heel, and I pull the shoulder back. Again, you pull punches, Feel the pull, boom, and up, back to guard. Now, again, in combination, let's just do the cross. It's something you should work a lot. Cross forward, 70%. Other hand right by the cheekbone, not down here, not out there, right here. I think I'm pulling this hand back, and my weight comes back, and heel, hip, shoulder, boom. And then I come back to guard. Shift forward, shift back. Cross up. 1, 2. 1, 2. Now let's talk about the uppercut. So, uppercut's a little different. Uppercut comes up. Nasty punch to get hit with. You know, if you're a fighter, and I did a lot of sparring, a lot of fighting, of course, all my many years. And you kind of get, if you get your chin down, you kind of get used to getting hit in the head a little bit. I mean, nobody likes it, but you get used to it. Unless it's low. That's why I always tell you, keep chin down. Get hit in the teeth or the nose. And a good uppercut, boy, I tell you, boom, that's a nasty place to get hit. So let's learn how to learn it. We want to learn that, right? So let's learn how to throw one. So with an uppercut, it's the same thing. We're going to end up in the forward position, but we're going to go a little different. Because I want to go up, I can't just go from here. I can't just pull the arm back. That's like, hey, here it comes. I'm going to drop. And then I'm going to turn, that's my body, and I'm going to let the hand go out and up. And if you notice, I'm utilizing the body. A common mistake is this. Lift, don't do that. Go down and then rotate. Boom, and you can push up a little bit with the leg, but don't bring your body up. You don't want to do this. You want to do this, boom, or this. A lot of guys like to go here because this goes through the gloves easier. Boom. Again, ending up in that same 70-40 or 70-30. Don't let your son become a kickboxer, right? So let's talk about the 4 punches that we've worked on. Jab, cross, hook, drop, uppercut. 1, 2, 3, 4. Center the weight. Weight shifts forward. Weight shifts back. Drop, weight shifts forward. Go. Another great combination is uppercut, hook. Up, stand them up, chop them down. We'll get that in the class for combinations. All right, let's move to the heavy bag. All right, now we're heading into the fun stuff. Hitting a heavy bag. Now, when I train myself or I train students, even all the way up to champions, I work for pretty much 4 elements. Shadow fighting, and again, that's what we've done earlier, where you get in front of a mirror, or even if you're not in front of a mirror, just trying to do the techniques properly. It's a great way to warm the body up. You know, take one of my kickboxing classes, 30 or 45-minute class. You'll see what I'm talking about, how we can utilize it as a warm-up at the same time getting better. And then I'm a huge advocate of hitting the heavy bag. And if you just stuck to those 2, hitting the heavy bag and shadow fighting, you can definitely develop some skills. And in some of the other classes, we're going to talk how we can take these techniques and get them down to where we're creating the power we're looking for and turning them into self-defense techniques, which can be vital in this day and age. But let's talk about now how we're going to hit that heavy bag. So a good distance, we want to be at the range of our punches. Well, we don't want to be so close we're not getting extension. Always remember, the power of a punch is at the end. Last 3 inches, 3 to 6 inches at most. So you want to make sure that you're not this close or you're not out here barely hitting. Now, right now, we're not going to talk about movement in or out or side to side. That's for be a little bit more advanced. Right now, I just want you to work on stationary strikes. So let's first work on that jab that we talked about. And again, I'm just like there's a fly on it. And again, if you notice, it's not a tense move. I'm not, okay? I'm just thinking about proper execution, elbow down, contact, back. Now, the cross, boom, we take that hand again, the elbow stays down, bam, and then we rotate on contact, boom. Rotate on contact, so we put them together, 1, 2, boom, that right hand comes right over, and again, right here. Now, I'm not hitting her as hard because this bag moves. I don't want to go out of the camera frame, but you can hit as hard as you want. But one thing I will say, so many times you go, they start hitting the bag, and all of a sudden they're doing the technique, and properly. You want to make sure, especially if you're just starting with me, that you're doing it proper, like we talked about before. Centered, forward, back to guard. Boom, boom. And if you notice, again, it's a relaxed motion. It's not tense. So we get the 1-2 down. Again, I like to do about 30 seconds of the jab. Then maybe 30 seconds to the 1-2. And then we go into the 1-2-3. And again, I throw that right hand, my weight should be forward, my back heel should be off the ground, and my hips should be shifted, so I can then come back with that hook. And again, I can hit the hook here, here. Again, I'm out of 45 basically. But if you notice where my other hands are, when I throw the jab, where's the hand? When I throw that right hand, where's the hand? So I'm not coming from here, I'm coming from the chin, boom, to throw that hook. And my elbow's in line with the punch. It's real important when you throw a hook that you don't do it like this. One, it's bad for your shoulder, but again, we want the elbow behind the punch. And again, you're not gonna, especially on these freestanding heavy bags, you get a wide one like this, it's real hard to get a 90-degree angle on it. So I always think more of a 45, this direction, because otherwise it's impossible for me to shift the weight back. And this is a common thing. Jab, cross, shift the weight forward, and then reach out there and just keep your weight here. That's real common. And now you're just punching with your arms, you have your weight stuck forward. I see that happen all the time. So you want to get in the habit of making sure that your weight shifts forward on the cross, boom, but it also comes back on the hook. And again, jab centered, forward, hook. And then of course, what's the last one? Bang, going with that uppercut. And the uppercut, normally, professional fighters have what they call a teardrop bag or one of the big uppercut bag when they come in. You don't have that. Okay, you probably just have a bag like this, or hopefully you have a bag or something you can hit. What I do is I go at a 45-degree angle. Actually, the days prior, when they didn't utilize gloves, the early days of boxing, they didn't throw the uppercut to the head. They threw it to the solar plexus. And if the guy moved back, then he'd get nailed in the face because it was less likely they'd break their hand. So that's the punch I like to throw. I don't come straight in and I don't come up. I know a lot of people just miss it. But I like to come right in there, right into that solar plexus. And again, same thing as we talked about before. We drop, we turn, bam, then we release. So if we did all four, we go jab, cross, hook, uppercut. And that's a good way of working it. So 30 seconds, just the jab. Jab, cross, jab, cross. Or you could just work the cross itself, just to make sure you're getting it right. That elbow stays down, you're turning the hip, you're turning the shoulder, getting the body going forward, hold it. Again, in the beginning, guys, focus on doing it right. That's the hard part. I can teach a 3-year-old how to throw a punch and a kick, doing it properly, with utilizing the hips, shifting the weight, the body coordination of it, especially if you're getting older. I tell you, someone who taught martial arts for 40 years, the disconnect between the mind and body as you age. Doing something as coordinated motion like martial arts or kickboxing can help maintain that, but you have to be diligent on proper execution. Don't just get out there and, what am I gonna have for dinner tonight? All right, every time you're trying to get better. Jab, jab, cross, hook, jab, cross, hook, uppercut. And again, we'll get into more combinations in other classes. All right, this is Jim Graden. Let's move on to kicks.